The difficult challenges are we have, at some point in time, they have to move from here to somewhere else, right? We don't have the services to take care of 50 immigrants, and we certainly don't have housing. We're in a housing crisis as we are on this island, and so we can't house everyone here that lives here and works here. We don't have housing for 50 more people.
An ex-FISA court judge is appointed special master over the Mar-a-lago raid evidence, but his appointment raises more concerns than it does relieve them. And the Democrats again expose their hypocrisy on immigration laws and sanctuary cities, thanks to Governors Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott. We're going to talk about all that and much more. I'm your host, Hyde. This is Hide and Seek News.
I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hello, all you beautiful and amazing people. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to the show. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. The show is brought to you by the Hide and Seek Media Store. Get the merch link in the description down below. And if you use code 1776, I'll give you 20% off your entire order. So, a federal judge has ordered a special master to review the evidence in the Mar-a-Lago raid and deem what the FBI can and can't use for their criminal investigation. The only problem is the judge that they appointed is an ex-FISA court judge who had a hand in the Russiagate warrants. That is a little troubling. Also, Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, for months now has been busing illegal immigrants coming across the border to cities like Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., all, in the name of sanctuary cities, right? Because a lot of these small border towns just cannot handle the thousands of people coming across the border every day. So Greg Abbott had to do something. And he said, well, we have all these liberal sanctuary cities all over the country who grant sanctuary to illegal immigrants and will take them in and take care of them. And so why don't I just do that? So he started busing them to all these other cities.
Tiger. Can't sit here.
It wasn't getting a lot of media coverage, and it wasn't having the effect that Greg Abbott wanted. So Ron DeSantis one-upped him. He took 50 immigrants, loaded them on a plane, flew them to Martha's Vineyard. 48 hours later, they were flown somewhere else, and the National Guard was brought in. Crazy stuff, right? I thought Martha's Vineyard was a sanctuary city. I thought all the liberals that like to go to Martha's Vineyard and hang out and vacation and whatever, I thought they were okay with illegal immigrants. But as we'll see from the stories that I'm going to read, there's something off about why Trump was okay with this judge being appointed special master. And you should hear about how some of these Democratic politicians and some of these media outlets talked about these illegal immigrants being moved around the country. So I've got some news articles here, some from the left, some from the right, talking about all of this, and we're going to go over it, and I'm going to give you my opinion. So let's dive on in. So we have this first story from NBC News. Federal judge appoints special master to review documents seized at Mar-a-Lago. The judge also denied the Justice Department's request for continued access to classified documents for use in its ongoing criminal investigation. So the Justice Department wanted to continue using the documents that need to be reviewed in their criminal investigation. And the judge was like, no, you're going to wait until the special master goes over them and it tells you what you can use in your criminal investigation and what you can't. So NBC goes on to report, a federal judge appointed a special master to review documents the FBI seized from former President Donald Trump's Florida estate while denying the Justice Department continued access to roughly 100 classified documents for use in its criminal investigation. Now, according to Kash Patel, a lot of those classified documents were already declassified before they left the White House, and a lot of them pertain to the Russia collusion fiasco that went on the first few years of Donald Trump's presidency. In an order Thursday, U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon named Raymond J. Dearie, a senior U.S. District Judge for the Eastern District of New York, to review all of the material seized on August 8th. The Trump team had proposed Dearie, and justice officials had previously signaled its approval for him as a potential arbiter to determine if any of the documents are protected by attorney-client or executive privileges. The Justice Department had asked for a stay of the judge's previous motion so it could continue to review the seized documents for use in a criminal investigation. Cannon denied that request, saying she isn't prepared to accept all of the department's assertions at face value without the special master review process. The court does not find it appropriate to accept the government's conclusions on these important and disputed issues without further review by a neutral third party in an expedited and orderly fashion, Cannon wrote in a Thursday evening ruling. So, to me, that says that the trust in the FBI is pretty much gone from the American public, and now there are even federal officials, judges, who don't have enough trust and faith in the FBI and what they bring to them to be true enough to allow them to continue without a special master. That says a lot about how bad the politicalization of the FBI and the weaponization of the Justice Department has become in this country. The Justice Department had argued that the September 5th order impeded the intelligence community's review of any national security risks posed by improper storage of the documents. Cannon on Thursday, however, insisted that her order didn't restrict the government from continuing to review the seized materials for intelligence classification and national security assessments or from briefing members of Congress. The order, she said, blocked the government from further use of the content of the seized materials for criminal investigative purposes, such as presenting the materials to a grand jury and using them for witness interviews for a criminal investigating pending Dearie's recommendations. The government is likely to challenge Thursday's decision. The Justice Department said in a court filing last week that it would appeal Cannon's previous order to the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. So, basically, the Justice Department said, yeah, we're okay with a special master going over all of this stuff, but we still want to be able to continue with our investigation. And Judge Cannon is like, well, hold on. You can't use any of this material, so there's no point in allowing you to use it in your investigation if you can't use any of it until it's been gone through by a special master. So her ruling that they can't use it in the criminal investigation process makes sense until it's determined what can be used, right? So if something they use to interview a witness turns out to be something that Dearie says cannot be used, well then all of that stuff had led to warrants and search warrants that led to other incriminating evidence. All of that gets thrown out because of that one piece of paper that they use to justify interrogating a witness. So if the Department of Justice really wants a solid case, right? If they really think they have a solid case and really have solid ground to stand on, then they can wait until the special master has gone through this. She says it wants it expedited, so I believe by the end of November. But that's when her deadline is. But he can do it as fast as he wants. But Cannon said, I think by the end of November, they want, he has to be finished. But he can finish faster if time allows. Who is Judge Dearie, and why did the Trump team propose him over a number of other judges? Because when you find out where this guy used to work and what he did, it kind of like makes you wonder why they chose him. So I have this story pulled up here from Time. Who is Raymond Dearie, the special master reviewing the Mar-a-Lago documents? They go on to write, on Thursday night, Judge Raymond Dearie of the Federal District Court in Brooklyn was appointed the special master to evaluate the over 11,000 documents seized by federal officials during an August search of former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence and determine if any should be kept from criminal investigators due to privilege. So, 11,000 documents were seized. 11,000. Let that number sink in for a minute. 11,000 documents. And according to NBC News, only 100 of them were marked classified. They go on to report, Judge Eileen M. Cannon of the Southern District of Florida, a Trump appointee, approved Dearie for the position after extensive back and forth between the Trump's team and the Justice Department over the scope of the special master's review. Trump's team argued that the special master should be able to review the roughly 100 documents with classification markings, stating Trump should have the right to assert executive privilege over any potentially classified material that might be presidential records. Cannon not only approved that request, but also barred the FBI from working with those classified materials until the special master's work is complete. DOJ appealed her decision on September 8th, arguing it could risk irreparable harm to national security and intelligence interests. The appeal is currently pending before the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. In her September 15th ruling appointing Dearie, Cannon reaffirmed that the special master's search will include classified documents, but directed Dearie to prioritize those documents as a matter of timing. She also reaffirmed that the FBI cannot access those classified materials until Dearie's work is complete. But who is Raymond Dearie? Judge Raymond Dearie, 78, was nominated to the U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of New York by then President Ronald Reagan in 1986. He served in that role for decades and assumed senior status in 2011, meaning he's semi-retired but still hears a reduced number of cases. Those who know Dearie say his years on the bench will have prepared him well for his new role. Steve Gold, a professor of law at Rutgers who clerked for Dearie after law school, explains that federal judges regularly decide disputes about evidence and questions of privilege. Thus, Dearie is coming into the role of special master with lots and lots of experience assessing whether or not a particular document was subject to a privilege and therefore not available to the other side, Gold says. They go on to report, in 2012, Dearie was appointed by Supreme Court Justice Dearie was appointed by Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts to serve a 7-year term on the United States Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, also known as the FISA Court. The 11-body court, which the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act established in 1978, reviews requests for warrants by the U.S. government to conduct electronic surveillance, physical searches, or other investigative actions related to foreign intelligence. In 2017, Dearie was among the FISA court judges who approved the FBI Justice and the Justice Department's request to surveil then Trump campaign foreign policy advisor Carter Page as part of its inquiry into potential Russian interference in the 2016 election. 2 of the 4 of those warrants were later declared invalid after a 2019 review by the Inspector General found errors and omissions in the applications to surveil Page. So, I want to get this clear right here. Errors and omissions is a nice way of saying they lied on those applications. They knew the Steele dossier was fake and still used it to gain those warrants. That's a lie. That's not an omission. That's not an error. That's a lie. Deliberate lie to get warrants so that you could surveil on your political opponents. And now, look what's happening with the DOJ again. Still going after their political opponent. Anytime the Democrats are in power, they are going to weaponize the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice against their political opponents. We've seen it already once before. And this judge, who is a special master now over the Mar-a-Lago documents, was one of the judges who approved those warrants. Now, granted, he may not have known that information was false and thought it deemed it okay at the time. And I would love to hear his statement on that review by the Inspector General and 2 of those warrants being found invalid and how he feels about what the FBI did to gain those warrants. But I doubt we will ever hear anything like that, because they're never going to admit publicly that they did anything wrong. They'll never admit that they were the ones surveilling political opponents. They'll never admit it because they'll turn around and say that's what the Republicans are doing, because they like to confess by projection, as my good friend Viva Fry likes to say. So that's another thing. And because they do this, right? Sometimes they can't hide their hypocrisy. And that's what I love about it, right? Because if you have the right people in place, you can force them to own it. And we are putting those people in place with every election. And that's why these midterms are so important, right? And the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot. And it is so beautiful. I have this story pulled up here from the New York Post. Democrats are upset that DeSantis has made them look in the mirror on migration. Now, I love how they said migration and not immigration, right? Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just again defiantly exposed liberal hypocrisy by flying 50 illegal immigrants direct to Democrats' favorite vacation destination, Martha's Vineyard, and so generating howls of telling outrage. And you should, and if you take the time and you go and look, I'm not going to pull up all the different videos now, but there was this one video of this lady talking to the media, and she said that Martha's Vineyard is in a housing crisis. They don't even have enough housing to house the people that live there and work there. How can we house 50 more immigrants? It was pretty funny. Massachusetts State Rep Dylan Fernandez called the move effing depraved. U.S. Rep Bill Keaton whined, history does not look kindly on leaders who treat human beings like cargo. Senator Ed Markey called it a cruel stunt. So I want to pause right here because it's not a stunt, okay? This is what you Democrats scream about all the time. Sanctuary cities. We need softer immigration and easier immigration. Well, guess what? All of these people are now in the country. And these governors don't want them in their states. They can't take on that much burden. Texas is getting flooded with illegal immigration. Thousands of people. We're talking, they're looking at 2 million people crossing the border this year. 2 million people. That's like 2/3 of the population of the state I live in. Crossing over the border illegally. How the hell is Texas and all these small border towns supposed to be able to take care of that? They can't. So they bust them to other places. But it wasn't getting the exposure that it needed to get. So Ron DeSantis upped it by sending them to Martha's Vineyard and really pissing off all the uptight white liberals. And he did a great job of doing it. So the Post goes on to report, okay, it's not too nice to the island's decently non-elite year-round residents, though 4 dozen unexpected late fall guests shouldn't be too hard to handle. More important, the denunciations ignored the ugly fact that sending migrants far and wide across the country is what Biden has been doing for months. Okay, it wasn't just Governor Abbott and DeSantis, but Biden has been doing this for months. Planes landing in the middle of the night in places like Kentucky, Tennessee. Is it okay for him to do it and not DeSantis? That is, it's Team Biden that's routinely treating migrants like cargo, waving them across our border with implicit promises of eventual de facto citizenship and zero regard for their own health and safety. If 50 migrants arriving in Martha's Vineyard is a disaster, where are those pseudo-humanitarians when the feds released nearly 1,000 this past week in El Paso? Right? I've got another story. 48 hours, according to the Daily Wire. That's all it took, was 48 hours for Martha's Vineyard to remove those 50 immigrants. The Daily Wire reports, Martha's Vineyard was slammed late last week after videos emerged showing the 50 illegal immigrants being removed from the island after they were flown there by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The move by DeSantis ignited what turned into this week's top national news story as Democrats falsely accused the governor of potentially having engaged in kidnapping and human trafficking. The illegal immigrants boarded 2 buses and headed off to Joint Base Cape Cod, where they will be greeted by 125 National Guard troops who were activated to assist. Donald Trump Jr. responded, it took less than 24 hours for the libs to kick these illegal immigrants out of Martha's Vineyard, but Biden won't lift a finger to deport the thousands of illegal immigrants pouring through the southern border daily out of the country. New York Times columnist Ross Douthat said that the point of sending the illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard was to provoke a huge mobilization from the National Guard to imply a contrast with a liberal White House failing to help border communities dealing with a far larger influx. DeSantis really exposed these hypocrites, popular YouTuber Tim Pool commented. I thought Martha's Vineyard was a sanctuary city, Senator Ted Cruz mocked. I thought they declared themselves a haven for illegal immigrants. Just 50 arrive and the socialist billionaires send them away to a military base, no less, in just 24 hours. Eric Schmidt, who is Missouri's Republican nominee for U.S. Senate, wrote, something in the White House we believe, something Ukraine flag. In the end, the leftist liberal elite anthem is a word salad of virtual signaling defined by the next level of hypocrisy. And it's not just Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts who mobilized National Guardsmen. I've got this story here from timcast.com. Governor J.B. Pritzker orders emergency declaration following arrival of illegal immigrants from Texas. Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Texas Governor Greg Abbott have been exchanging barbed comments for the last month. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued an emergency declaration to allow the state to use government resources to manage the influx of illegal immigrants that were sent to the state from Texas. The order activates the Illinois National Guard and permits the Illinois Emergency Management Agency to work with the state and local agencies to provide the migrants with transport, emergency shelter and housing, food, health screenings, medical assessments, treatments, and other services. Today, I signed a declaration proclamation allowing the state to speed up the procurement of the immediate resources needed to help Chicago, Cook County, and other jurisdictions providing humanitarian assistance to the asylum seekers who are being sent to our state with no official advance notice by the governor of Texas, said Governor J.B. Pritzker in his September 14th announcement. Let me be clear, while other states may be treating these vulnerable families as pawns, here in Illinois, we're treating them as people. So the thing is we're not treating them as pawns. Governor Abbott is flooded with illegal immigrants, and we have cities all over this country that claim that they are sanctuary cities willing to take on all these illegal immigrants and house them and provide them shelter. So why is this an emergency for Illinois all of a sudden? Maybe because it's all virtue signaling. When it actually comes to the rubber meeting the road, oh, no, we can't do this we need millions more dollars in help when we have to activate the National Guard. Because we didn't really mean it. We were just saying it so that everybody liked us. And so that we could be on the side of, the virtuous. When we didn't mean a damn thing. No. I mean, look at Martha's Vineyard. 24 hours. Get out of here. We can't help you. Even though we're a sanctuary city, we can't help you. You're only a sanctuary city to the people you've hired to work there. That's the only reason why you claim to be a sanctuary city, because you didn't want to get rid of all the cheap labor you got. The hypocrisy of the Democrats is being exposed, right? Confession by projection. Remember those words. If you take nothing else from this video, take those words. And they're not even mine. They're from Viva Fries. And you can go check out his channel too, because that guy's great. I love his stuff. But that's exactly what the Democrats do, right? When they were saying that Trump had colluded with Russia to win the 2020 election, they're the ones who were the ones throwing out false dossiers and getting warrants to spy on their political campaign opponents. They're saying that Trump colluded with the Ukrainian president to have him go after Biden, when it was Biden who was the one that said, if you don't fire that prosecutor, I'm not giving you the $1 billion that you want. And if you don't believe me, call Barack, see what he says. I mean, come on. Confession by projection, right? That's what they do. And that's why we need people like DeSantis and Abbott doing these kinds of things and forcing them to expose themselves, right? They didn't do anything wrong in my book. They're getting flooded with illegal immigrants and they need to go somewhere, right? And if all of these places are sanctuary cities and care about them and want to treat them like humans and not like pawns, then you should be welcoming these buses in and saying, come on in. If Texas can't handle you, we can. But you're not. You're pushing them on a plane and getting them the hell out of there as fast as you can. Why? Because you're virtue signaling. And it's time it gets exposed. Because these, like I said before in a previous video, these midterms are probably going to be the most crucial vote we've had in this country to date. Because it will determine the direction of this country. Do we get back on making America great again and saving America? Or does it continue to go off the deep end and we finally just fall off the cliff? I'm going to leave it there. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, I really do appreciate you guys watching this far. It really does mean a lot to me. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, so you get notified anytime I drop a new video. Smash that like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video, the topic, and the channel. I really do love to engage with my viewers, so feel free to fire away. But the best thing you guys can do for me and then for this channel is to hit that share button and share this video on all social media platforms. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.